feeling the feelings is always the cause, right? Feeling the feelings.
Yeah, but I was thinking about the cause. Then how would we know if they're in past lifetimes? We don't have that memory to help us. Like you could say now, well, it's for the gift they say.
Yeah.
And you can do that. Like if you were ill-treated, then say by your parents, then you cannot do that to your children and give them a better life.
Well, let me say categorically, firstly, something that's going to trigger many of you emotionally. None of you have had past lifetimes. Yeah.
So how can you explain cellular memory that people have, that things may have happened to them in the past?
Let's look at it, and let's look at what's really happening. Here's you. Here's your physical body, your spirit body, and your half of the soul, right? So let's say I'm a male, so that's the masculine half of the soul. Here's people in the spirit world with their soul connected to their spirit body, right? You understand so far? Every single person in the spirit world is attracted to you based on your emotional feelings. So you know how all of you have been attracted here today. So there is something common with all of you right at this moment, isn't it? A desire for truth is one of those things, right? Or a desire to listen to a crazy man. But whatever it is, it's common, right? Now, all attractions in the entire universe operate in the same way, in that they operate on your emotional condition. They operate on your soul condition. So what I call the soul condition is what every single law of attraction operates on, including attractions with spirits. Now what happens is a spirit can attach themselves to you. And in fact, this happens all the time. In fact, every single one of you has a spirit attached to you right at this moment. Right? Now,
they want to listen to you too.
there's quite a few tens of thousands of spirits here with us today, and some of them came along because you came along. Some of them came along. One of them came along because they were your guide, so that they are permanently attached to you. Right? Your guide is permanently attached to you. When I say attached, your guide is there and actually given to you by God to actually look after you and guide you on your spiritual journey. All of you also have a guardian, and a guardian looks after your physical body as best they can. In other words, they keep you alive as best they can given your free will. Right? And then you also have all these spirits around you who like you, and they feel attracted to you because of this emotion in you or that emotion in you. So let's say I've been abused as a child, and I'm a male and I've been abused as a child. There will be male spirits in the spirit world who are with me, who have been abused as children.
Are they healed or are they still carrying their own abuse?
A lot of times they'll be carrying their own abuse still.
So they might be just reinforcing your problem, right?
They will be.
Supporting you getting through it.
They will, well, everything is the law of attraction. So if we look at it that way, it's all supporting me to deal with it.
Yeah.
But
so
yes,
could be making it.
It'll make it more intense,
yeah.
Certainly. And all of you are being impressed in this way. All of you are being impressed on a day-to-day, hour-by-hour, minute-by-minute basis. Now, every one of these spirits who is attracted to you has a life. They had a life when they were on earth, and they have a life now in the spirit world. And they have memories, and they have pictures in their mind, and they have thoughts, and they have feelings. And every one of those things, depending on how open you are, can be connected to you. So if I'm a spirit, I can give you a thought, I can give you a feeling, I can give you a picture of my life. I can do all of that. You follow me? And what often happens is there are emotions in this soul of mine that are familiar emotions, if you like, or sympathetic emotions to the emotions that are in the soul of this spirit. You follow me? That's what causes the attraction. It's the soul-to-soul attraction. It's the emotions that cause the attraction. Now, with the emotions in there, so let's say my emotion is I'm angry with men and I'm a woman. Let's say that's my emotion. I'm going to attract women in the spirit world who are yet to deal with their emotions, who are also angry with men. And whenever something happens to me in my life where a man makes me get angry, I might even feel a sense of rage towards that man, almost uncontrollable, right? And that will be often this sympathetic attraction between the spirit and yourself, making the emotion even stronger in you so that you become aware of it and deal with it. You follow me? But they also affect my physical body. Remember, it's the emotions that affect my physical body. So if this person's attached to me in some way, then my body is going to get damaged because of it. And that's what they call so-called cellular memory. In reality, the instant you pass, there's no cellular memory in your physical form. So therefore...
Wouldn't it be in the soul?
Sorry?
Wouldn't the memory be in the soul?
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it cellular.
We have ancestral cellular memory though.
Well, that is all soul damage. So everything is emotions in the soul in reality. I don't... Like, why... It doesn't matter what you call it, whether you want... If you want to call it cellular memory, we'll call it that. But that tends to imply that it's physical, that it's in your body, and it's not. Because the moment you pass, you won't have this body, but you'll still have the memory and you'll still have the emotion. So therefore it can't be in the body, right?
Is it possible you could have like memory from ancestors that's been recorded in the cells that's...
You have emotional damage from ancestors that are in your soul, and that causes damage in your two bodies. So let's say
So the body doesn't pass on memory genetically?
No. No, the genetics are the result of the soul condition. The soul passes on the genetics. You follow me? So for example, let's say my grandfather had diabetes and my father was born. He is going to have very, very similar emotions in him that the grandfather has if the grandfather did not clear his emotions. And he will get diabetes, guaranteed. Right? And then if he doesn't clear those emotions and work on those emotions, then his son will get diabetes. Right? And everyone will say, oh, it's genetic. And yes, I suppose you could say it's sort of genetic. It's genetic at the soul level, the emotional level. Now let me just carry this on a little further, because I just want to relate a few spirit experiences that I've had about this to illustrate it. And when I was in Greece last, which was about, I don't know, 16 weeks ago or something like that, there was a lady who was a healer, and what she did was she would go, she's quite very mediumistic lady as well, so she'd speak with spirits and heal people. And her husband, 17 years ago, was dying of diabetes, and his father had died of diabetes, and his grandfather had died of diabetes, right? And what happened was she healed him. She has a spirit with her who helps her do her healing, and the spirit with her healed her husband. And I won't say much about how it happened yet, because that comes clearer later. What happened was that the instant her husband was healed, the lady herself contracted diabetes. And now she, 17 years later, was dying from diabetes. So when I met her just recently, she was dying of diabetes. There was no amount of insulin she could take anymore that would help her, and she was going to die. All right? So that's what happened to this lady. Now, what was going on? What was going on was there was a spirit who had passed over nearly 300 years ago, who had attached to the emotions of each subsequent generation of men in their family. And he had killed them with his attachment. Right? The attachment was one based on certain emotions inside of the soul, in the pancreas region. And what happened was that attachment slowly, it caused this physical damage in the pancreas, which actually then created the illness, which then created the disease, which then caused the death of every generation in their life. Every, the grandfather, the father, and the son. Now, what we did is we started talking to the spirit, this spirit who was attached to this lady. The reason why the spirit attached to the lady, because he got angry with her for kicking him out of her husband. Right? So he felt angry with her for kicking him out of where he was, he was actually residing. And what we had to do is convince this spirit actually to step away from her body for a while and actually look at the damage that he was doing to the body. And he didn't even realise the damage he was doing to the body. Once he started realising that, he actually stepped out of the body for a while, and he also saw it himself, which was a bit of a shock because he looked quite ugly, and naturally so, because he'd killed quite a number of a generation of people because of his actions without realising. But what happened was he then started looking at himself, and he started looking at what the damage was in her body, and he stayed out of her body after that. Right? He stayed out of the connection. Now, I'll illustrate another one, and that is that almost every person who drinks to oblivion and still walks home has a spirit walking home for them. You follow me? See, what happens is when a lot of people pass, you know, alcohol is pretty prominent here on earth now, right? When a lot of people pass, what happens is that they still want to drink. Why do they want to drink? Because they want to get away from the terrible emotions they've been avoiding all their life while they were drinking, right? So they still want the drink, but the drink's not available in the spirit world. So what they do is they physically attach to a drinker on earth and cause him to drink as much as they possibly can so they can share in some of the emotion. You follow me? So they can share, they think themselves to be drunk through the experience. They can feel the feeling of drunkenness, and it detunes them from their emotion. And yet they can keep a person upright who's not in any way conscious of what they're doing. How many of you have been drunk to the point where you're totally unconscious of what you've been doing? Quite a few? At that moment you had a spirit driving you. And they were driving you to get that emotion, to get that feeling, to get that feeling happening. Now what's actually happening is a sympathetic attraction. They are attracted to you because of an emotion inside of yourself. And they want the drink, and they know you will drink enough for them to share in the experience.
I know it's all to do with attraction, but in the case where that lady and that spirit was attached to each of those fellas,
yep.
Would their spirit guide just going, like letting it happen, or would they go, hey,
No, the spirit guides will always be trying to show the person that something's going on. But unfortunately what happens most of the time is people don't respond to what the spirit guides are trying to show them. Every single day of your life, your spirit guide is trying to lead you down a path that they know you want in the end. So they can read your soul and they know what you want, and they're trying to lead you down that path, to help you down that path. But often you resist it because of your emotions. Right? So you have an emotion of fear, or you have an emotion of mistrust, or you have an emotion of, one of those other emotions, and so what happens is, they can't lead you the best they possibly could. And this happens even when you pass. This person here who's influencing this person also has a guide trying to help them not do that anymore. Right? But again, they're often not listening. Right? So there's this constant stream of information coming from God through spirits of different levels of love to try and influence the breakage of these particular relationships. But because they are codependent relationships, they stay in a series of codependency until they have a realisation.
Would it be anything that those fellas could have done to release the spirit?
Yes,
influencing them?
they needed to release the emotion that caused the attraction.
So in the woman who now had this person
Yep.
close to her,
Yep.
there would have been some sympathetic attraction between her and that spirit.
Exactly.
So she wasn't a victim of killing him. She just pulled him in because she wasn't clear herself.
That's right. There was a sympathetic attraction, but also there was the attraction of anger with men, which caused a corresponding anger return from the spirit as well. So yes, she had two emotions: the original emotion that would have caused diabetes, but also this attraction because of the mutual anger of each other, if that makes sense. And that caused the attraction. So yes, the only way to permanently disable any connection with a spirit is to release the emotion.